Here's a quick look at the boot lid as far as I've gone now. It's a bit similar to it was earlier, but I still haven't done that. Found a few cracks here and splits and crack, and I've, like I said, built up this piece here, ready to accept a bit of filler to make that fit better against the back of the car. This hole has to be fixed where the handle went, because it's 1/4 of an inch off centre, so it will not be in the middle when you put the rally stripes back on, so that won't be right. So the stripes would have to be set off to make it look right, but I'm not going to do that, so I've got to repair the hole, so that's okay. I was going to do it anyway, but that's it's made me do it now. And I've took a little bit more paint off the inside, so it's tidied up. There's some of the reinforcing, which I haven't finished, and that's looking a lot better than it was before, and it actually fits pretty good. I'm quite happy with the fit of the bonnet, the boot lid now, so just need to fix these old holes, you know, just get the surface good and remount it. So last shot of the car as far as I've got. Looks a bit of a patchwork quilt, lots of filler, but I've seen a lot worse, so it's actually, this really is coming together now quite well. So that's enough of that. A little bit about the doors a minute. I'll just do that on. These doors were originally just clamped here, and you couldn't clamp it tight enough to stop the doors from moving, so I put this bar on, which is actually attached to a piece of wood on some threaded pieces, but this bolt is in the middle of the balance point of the door, so you put that bolt in when you put the door on, it just stays there, and you can, there's a metal plate, flat plate there with the threaded holes for that, so there's not 3 separate bolts, it's 1 plate. You just slide it in, catch the bolts, and it's absolutely dead easy, and it really clamps it up. And this hinge was just a L shape bent piece of steel, but now that has been another sheet of steel and capped off top and bottom. It's boxed that in, and it's made it quite solid. Before it was very springy and bendy. The hinges, I don't think you can really see this, used to be just bolted here, just literally onto the fiberglass. Now they go back onto a plate which is on a fiberglassed in beam, so it's a lot stiffer, it cannot move. And the hinges used to pivot that wide, but now it clamps there and pivots up there and down there, so it's actually, the hinge point is about twice as wide, so it's got half, the bit of slack is half the error by having wider hinges. So and you can also pinch them up if they're a little bit slack, and by winding the nut top and bottom you can actually slide the hinge up and down, so there's a lot of adjustment in that, and I've done that quite some time ago, so it's nothing new. And I fitted a racing steering wheel, go faster. Only thing is if you want to go all the way around, you have to take it off and put it on the other side. Not really, I was only joking, but it's actually, it's quite a good set of grips actually, so it would be a good steering wheel. Alright, after quite a bit of sanding and fettling, the boot lid is not fitting too badly, and this piece at the back is the piece that I had to build on. It is about 1/2 inch longer to allow the boot lid to slide backwards, and now I've got the gaps. I've got to skim that up, just a bit of surface on it, but the gaps are looking pretty good. And the bottom's looking pretty good, except there is a little bit there, so that needs to just come out a little bit there. Just build that out from about there up to about here, all the way along. Just bring it out a fraction. I might not even bring it out all the way, I might just come out just a little bit to make it look acceptable. A bit like sort of that there's slightly lower, but that's acceptable because it was absolutely rubbish before. And as on another video I've shown, there was 1/4 of an inch of filler on here because the boot lid was further back. But these curves fit, and it had to be brought back to make that fit, make this nearly fit. And what was wrong was it wasn't long enough up here. So by doing that, and it needs a skim over the whole surface there, and it'll just bring that surface up, and a little bit low there, but he's about right all the way along there, just slightly low, just enough for a skim, little bit high there. I just got to take that down a bit, but that's there. So not so bad. Right, here we are. This is the final fit of the boot lid after the repair, which was along this back edge. Additional 1/2 inch put on. Put this skim of filler to get the curve right. Is, as you can see, quite extensive, and there's a few ripples in the fiberglass, but that was required to get what feels now pretty good. And if I can get down low enough, you can now see the final fit is now looking what I would say pretty good, and not rubbish. And this is where the original badge was, and there was 2 holes filled, and it just generally felt strange, but that doesn't feel too bad. And this piece is where I added on a piece of fiberglass, and just it's only thin, and this area is where there was 1/4 of an inch of filler built out all the way along to make the boot lid, in effect, allow it to go back, so that this here fitted by filling it out with filler. But now I've increased the length up there and allowed all this corner and this corner to come out, and it just needed a little bit along there because this was a bit buckled. But that now actually fits. That fits pretty good. So by the time that's primered and blocked down, I think that's all going to come out looking pretty good. Time will tell. But that's as far as I've got with that one.